Training for a marathon is a math equation, and the equation is endurance plus strength equals marathon. And the problem with the typical marathon training plan is that it only focuses on endurance. It'll have you run 4, 5, 6 times a week, run the speed intervals in the hills, and maybe do even some cross training like swimming and riding the bike. And that's only focusing on the endurance, which is 50% of the equation. It's completely neglecting the other 50%, which is the strength training. And so what ends up happening is on your marathon, you'll be in cardiovascular shape to run 13.1 or 26.2 miles, but you simply won't have the physical strength to finish your race strong and with your time that you're proud of. And so you'll get to mile, let's say you run a marathon, you'll get to mile 20 and you'll be fine. And then after that, your legs start to get tired, they'll be sore, fatiguing, maybe even cramping up, and then your overall pace per mile significantly starts to slow down. And so maybe those first 20 miles you were running a 10-minute pace, but then the last 6 miles you were running a 12, 13, or 14-minute pace, which results in a slower time and you potentially not reaching the goal that you want to reach. And so then you're left questioning, okay, why did I slow down by so much? Why did my last 6 miles 3 minutes slower than the first 20? And the reason was because while you were training, you were only focusing on the first part of that equation, and that was building your endurance, but neglecting the second part of that equation, which is the physical strength. And so if you want to finish your half or full marathon with the time that you're proud of, finish that race strong and have a good overall experience, well, you have to prioritize that second part of that equation, and that's the strength. And so how do you do that, and what does that look like? Well, you want to focus on building up the strength by lifting weights, barbells, free weights, machines, and it's best done in the gym just because you have more equipment, more options, heavier weights. You can start off by doing some of your workouts at home, but the problem with that is usually you're pretty limited on the amount of weight you can lift. And once you reach your capacity of the amount of weight you can lift, the workouts usually become inefficient and ineffective just because you're used to lifting that weight. And the goal with the strength training is to get stronger. And so for you to get stronger, you have to put your muscles under enough tension, under enough load to achieve progressive overload. And then once that happens, you'll be able to get stronger. And so if you only have, let's say, 5 pounds, that may be good for the first couple of workouts, first couple of weeks, but after a while, your muscles will get accustomed to lifting 5 pounds. And then after that, all your workouts will be not as efficient and you'll be more just going through the motions. And so it's important that you always have more equipment and heavier weights that you can use at your disposal. And going to the gym, I know a lot of people are shy and timid and scared of that environment. I've worked with hundreds of runners, and a lot of them come to me and be like, I'm scared of the gym, I don't know what to do, people can be mean or whatever. And usually after about a couple workouts, they get used to it, they feel good, they realize no one in there is mean, that everyone wants to help them. And it takes a couple workouts, couple weeks to figure out what exercises to do, how to do them, and the reps, the sets, and the weights, etc. And so what I recommend in the gym is 3 workouts per week. And doing this will essentially check off the strength component of that equation, right? The endurance is running, and what I found is you only need to run 3 times a week to check that endurance box off. Anything over 3, running 4, 5, 6 times a week is really just an overkill and not necessary. A lot of the runs are just more junk miles. And so 3 is what I found an optimal amount to run to check off that endurance box to run a half or full marathon. And so then we got to focus on the strength box. Like, how do you check that box off? In strength training 3 times a week, isolating each muscle group, where let's say Monday you do a push day, chest, shoulders, triceps, and then on a leg day or on Wednesday you do a leg day, quads, glutes, hamstrings, calves, and then on Friday you do a pull day, which is back and biceps. 3 workouts, isolating each muscle group, and lifting heavier weights, not too heavy where you risk the chance of injuries where you're doing a 1 rep max or a 2 reps max, but sticking to the 8 to 12 rep range. If you stick to the 8 to 12 rep range, well, then you're using a weight where it's heavy, you're gonna achieve progressive overload, but it's not too heavy where you have to worry about injury, but it's not too light where it becomes more of a cardiovascular workout. And so sticking to that 8 to 12 rep range, maximizing each set where you're lifting a weight that is heavy for you. It's a challenge. And the general rule and guideline I like to follow, the principle is I want the last 1 to 2 reps per set to be a challenge. And so let's say I'm doing shoulder press. I want reps 10, 11, and 12 to be hard. I want my muscles to be fatiguing. I want to have to like really dig deep and push myself to get that last rep in there. And if not, let's say you're able to do 20 reps or 25 reps, then you're simply using too light of a weight. And so I always want the last 1 to 2 reps per set to be hard, where I'm just at failure, but like not quite there yet. Like if this line right here is failure, I want to be just under there. That's where I want to be. And if you consistently lift weights, isolating each muscle group, lifting heavy weights where you're challenging yourself, you're pushing yourself hard, and you do it consistently, well, then you will be checking off that strength box. And so if you're running 3 times a week, you're lifting 3 times a week, well, now you're doing the equation, the math equation of endurance plus strength equals marathon. And so for your upcoming marathon, rather than just running 4, 5, 6 times a week and hoping you'll be able to finish your race strong, integrate strength training into your half or full marathon training plan. Prioritize it where you spend a solid 45 minutes to an hour, 3 times a week in the gym, really building up the strength in your lower body and in your upper body. And what you will find is you'll get to the end of that race and you'll be stronger. You'll be feeling better, your legs are gonna be stronger, and you're gonna be able to maintain your pace for more miles. So rather than slowing down at mile 20, hitting the wall and falling off a cliff, you'll be able to run the whole 26.2 miles. And so take that into consideration for your next half or full marathon. Down below, there's a link to a free half and full marathon training plan that you can download. I call it the perfect training plan. They're battle tested training plans that I've used for my half and full marathons. I used the marathon training plan that you'll be able to find in there. I ran the Austin Marathon in 3 hours and 34 minutes. Following that exact training plan, so you'll be able to download that. You'll have full access to it. And so make sure you guys check that out. And if you enjoyed this video, share it with another running friend of yours.